Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Let's start our video with a short story about a naive scammer. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Try to scam me, will you? Just received a call from an unknown number, 000-00000, a little while ago. Some heavily accented person from the U.S. government wanted to give me a grant of $9,000. All I had to do was give them a CC number or bank account number. Sadly, I have neither, but they'll do it Western Union. So the guy very slowly gives me a Western Union number as I told him his accent was too thick for me to understand. He then asks me to confirm it. Sneaky B word. I didn't write it down at all, so I guessed. He got a little upset with me for getting it wrong, and I told him this sounds like a scam. He became very upset at this and re-delivered his pitch. He says since I've not filed bankruptcy and am not a felon, they contacted me. I say, if you're from the government and know these things about me, then you probably have my name. Incredulously, he asked me if I know my own name. I told him yes. I asked then, why does he need to tell me? I said to prove he had any info about me to base the felon and bankruptcy thing on. After a little more back and forth of this, he finally says, Jason? I tell him he has the wrong number and hang up. And our next story. Exactly £1, you say? Sure. I'm a part-time home baker. I took it up while I'm studying from home during the pandemic, and it's basically a fundraiser for my charity since I can't do my monthly fundraiser bake sales on campus anymore. I'm also the only person selling baked goods in my entire area, so my items are very popular. Specifically, this one particular type of cake I make that people absolutely love. The other day, a lady called me and wanted to place an order for £1 of this particular cake. She said she tried it at a friend's house and loved it and wanted it for her niece's birthday. I told her that I use metric measurements, so my cakes are actually 500 grams or 1 kilogram. She said she wanted a £1 cake. I dropped it because it was more or less the same thing. Important for later. When I had made the cake for her friend, I'd run out of my £1 cake bases, so I had used a £2 cake base. In my opinion, this made the cake look smaller, but it's possible that someone else might think that the cake was bigger. Edit, to clear up some confusion, cake base is the cardboard on top of which you put the cake. I use two sizes, 9-inch diameter for my small cakes, 500 grams, and 12-inch diameter for the big cakes, 1 kilogram. When the lady's friend ordered, I'd run out of the smaller base, so I used the 12-inch base for the 500-gram cake. After I took the order and quoted the price to her, she started giving me more instructions. The birthday girl is 16, so decorate it according to a 16-year-old girl. I know, super vague. Add XYZ stuff to it. Write 4 different things on the cake. I explained to her that all this is not included in the base price, and the kind of topping she wanted would make it a lot heavier and pricier. She said, make it a £1 cake for the £1 cake price. Okay, I get the hint. You want a £1 cake with those specific customizations. So I make it just that. Remove some of the ganache, made thinner layers so I could incorporate her additions and still keep it at exactly 454 grams. No more, no less. The lady came to pick it up and went ballistic because I was trying to rob her in the name of charity, and the cake I made was in no way £1 because her friend's cake was bigger. I tried explaining to her why her friend's cake might have looked bigger and that this cake was exactly £1 as she wanted. She refused to listen and was starting to create a huge scene and said she wanted a refund. So I brought my weighing scale out and weighed the cake out in front of her, 454 grams exactly. The lady saw that and went, aha, I was right. You're trying to cheat me. It's 50 grams less. I said, no, it's exactly £1 like you wanted. I opened up the Google converter and showed her that £1 is in fact 454 grams, not 500. I opened WhatsApp and showed her the message where I told her I make 500-gram standard cakes, and she said she doesn't care, she wants £1. She was a bit gobsmacked and said I should have some professional courtesy and made it a 500-gram cake, and I'm trying to cheat her. I had it with her. I told her, ma'am, you wanted exactly a £1 cake. You said it to me 4 times, so you can take this exactly £1 cake, or you can take your refund and leave. I can find other people who'd want to buy a £1 cake. She took her 1-pound cake and left, saying she'll never buy anything from me again and make sure to let others know too. Later, her niece followed my page on Instagram and dropped me a message apologizing for her aunt, saying it was the best cake she ever had and she'll surely tell everyone about my bakery. Aha, the old "you're cheating me by giving me exactly what I demanded" routine. Gotta stand open-mouthed in awe of the stupidity of some people. And our last story. He scoffed at me, so I got him fired and sent back to his country. I started my first full-time job when I was 20, fresh off college and ready to take on the world. I resided in a Middle Eastern country where people got brought in frequently by employers, and one mistake could cost them everything. I was outside this because I was a resident of the place despite not being from there. Anyways, when I first started, I got along very well with my coworker despite the fact that he came off as a lot of bad things for me. We tried hanging out, but the more I got to know him, the more disgusted I became. He was sexist, a purist of his religion where he believes execution of certain people should be allowed, and he was extremely homophobic. But nonetheless, I tried making friends with him because I was open to anything. Like I said, I was 20, I was still young and naive, and I tried my best to seem calm and friendly. I wanted to make an impression. This man, however, was the opposite. He was several years older than me and acted like he was above me through every step, but I ignored it because I wanted to be civil. Sometimes I'd help him with his work until eventually his work became mine. He would just expect me to do it without even lending a hand. I didn't say anything, I just did it. His missing from the office became more frequent. Sometimes he'd only be at work for a measly 2 hours out of 9 hours, popping in and out, and the office manager is too chicken crap to say anything to the general manager. Then there's the lateness, where I'd come in on time every day and he'd come in an hour late. Still, I kept my mouth shut. It escalated to him adjusting attendance records, so it seemed like he's not absent, even though his absences were frequent. Unfortunately, he was put in charge of that too. I remained quiet throughout all this, remained civil, until finally I spoke to the general manager about pursuing a different line of work. I was always into graphic design, and they needed to get some work done, so I offered to do it. But during this time, I couldn't afford much things anymore because I had to help pay bills for my parents, so I usually just walked to work back and forth every day and limited my eating to once a day, meaning the Wi-Fi was no longer something I could afford. So as an agreement, I could take the office Wi-Fi with me and work on designs from home. However, my coworker didn't agree to this and pretty much attacked me with a barrage of insults. He scoffed at the fact that I needed the Wi-Fi to do design work and said I was a joke. I've suppressed the majority of what the conversation held, but it went something like this. Me: I just need it tonight. You can have the Wi-Fi tomorrow. Him: why? It's not yours. Me: I need to do some design work. Him: yeah, me too. I need to do that too, so leave it here. I couldn't remember much of what else he said, but there was a scoff after he said that, and he made fun that my design sucked and that I should just stop while I'm ahead. My blood boiled over, and I reached a point of no return. I immediately phoned the office manager and talked about the situation and how if I don't get the Wi-Fi, I'll complain to the general manager, who did, in fact, give me his blessing, unlike the turd. He immediately called my coworker and told him to give me the Wi-Fi, which he did, and that was that. Except I'm a petty person, and I'm not about to let some a-hole get off with a slap on the wrist. The next day, I went to the head office and had a meeting with the general manager. I spoke to him about all the misconduct this guy had, how he's always late, never in the office, changes his absences, steals money sometimes, etc. I spilled my heart out on all his wrongdoings, showing the messages and nasty photos I was sent during the shift that I never asked for, and how I'm doing all of his work. It escalated to the point where he got brought into the main office for a meeting where I proceeded to berate him in front of the manager, and he could only try to defend himself, but I was prepared. It turns out the office manager never even spoke to the general manager about his misconduct. Afterwards, he was brought back to the office, having been yelled at by both my manager and the general manager. And I could say that's where it ends, except it's not. After he left, the general manager realized if I'd been doing all the work, then why didn't I say anything? I responded that I was simply there to work and to help. However, with what just happened, and the fact this guy was getting paid more than me, I've decided that if he's here, then I won't be staying in the company. I gave him a choice, me or this guy. The answer was obvious, because by the next day, he was handed a termination letter and another letter that states he's been booked a ticket and he has to head back to his home country within a month, and he's barred from entering the country for several years due to his public misconduct that was reported by a certain someone to the local authorities. I could say that's the end, but okay, this is the last one, I swear. See, he had a girlfriend back home, a fiancé more like, whom he's been cheating on. Funny enough, he added me on Facebook when we first met, and she proceeded to add me too, because he talks about me to her. Well, our messages weren't just inappropriate, it showed details of him cheating on her, with me questioning him if that's a good idea. Every screenshot sent, all the photos of the women he's been with sent, she was livid. And I kept apologizing for keeping her in the dark, but that I thought she deserved to know at least. I haven't spoken to her since, but judging from the fact that her Facebook status no longer states she's engaged to him, is enough of a confirmation. I sent him one last thing before blocking him on every social media we've been connected in. You deserve this, craphead. It's been several months since then, and I'm thriving at work. I got a raise, I have better coworkers, and I'm getting a promotion. As for him, well, he's out there somewhere in the world, who knows? And who cares, right? We're no longer in the same country, so whatever else happens to him no longer phases me. Though he did once send me a photo of his fake Italian ID because he was planning on illegally migrating there next year. I think I should send it to the authorities in Italy. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.